Welcome to Innovation Brief by IdeaScale, where we turn your work team into innovators.
Have you ever felt like you're hitting a wall when it comes to tapping into the creative potential of your team? Like you're just not getting those truly groundbreaking ideas as often as you'd like?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a pretty common hurdle, especially for innovation leaders.
It is, and that's exactly why today we're going to deep dive into something that could be a game changer for you: visual thinking.
Visual thinking, huh? I'm intrigued.
Well, think about it. Visual thinking isn't just about doodling. It's a whole thought process, a way to organize and explore ideas using visuals rather than just relying on words.
So like mind maps and diagrams and things like that.
Exactly. It's about getting those ideas out of your head and onto something tangible where you can see them, connect them, and really work with them. And for anyone leading innovation CEOs, CIOs, directors, tech leaders, you name it, visual thinking can be an incredibly powerful tool to break down complex problems, spark creative solutions, and cultivate a more innovative culture overall.
I see where you're going with this. It's about making innovation more visual and tangible, something you can actively work with.
Exactly. And the great thing is our brains are already wired for visual thinking. Even if we don't always realize it, we're constantly processing visual information.
You're right. I mean, think about how much easier it is to remember someone's face than their name.
Right. Or think about how quickly you can grasp a concept when you see it in a diagram compared to just reading a description. Our brains are naturally drawn to visual input, and that's a huge part of why visual mediums often lead to a much deeper and more immediate understanding.
That makes a lot of sense. So are we talking about everyone needing to become artists or graphic designers to be good at visual thinking?
Not at all. It's not about artistic talent. It's about recognizing the power of visual representation and using it to your advantage. It's less about following strict rules and more about embracing a flexible approach to how you think and work with ideas.
Interesting. So it's more like a mental shift than anything else.
In a way, yes. It's about actively incorporating visual elements into your thinking process, using images as a tool to spark new insights, make information stick, and brainstorm more effectively.
No, I'm starting to see the potential here. But how does this actually play out in a professional setting? How does visual thinking actually help teams work better?
That's where it gets really exciting. When you apply visual thinking in a team environment, you start to see some really tangible benefits. Take problem solving, for example.
Okay, problem solving. We all do a lot of that. So how does visual thinking help?
Imagine you're trying to understand a complex system, maybe with lots of interconnected parts.
Yeah, those can get messy quickly.
They can. Trying to understand the bottlenecks or points of failure just through verbal descriptions alone can be a nightmare. But if you map that system visually, suddenly the interdependencies and potential problem areas become much more apparent.
Oh, I see. It's like getting a bird's eye view of the whole thing.
Exactly. And it's not just about problem solving. Visual thinking is incredibly effective at breaking down complex information.
Makes sense. We're bombarded with information all the time.
We are. And sifting through dense reports or complicated spreadsheets can be so time-consuming. But a well-designed visual can cut through all that and deliver clarity almost instantly.
I like the sound of that. Instant clarity.
Plus, it helps you forge strong links between different pieces of information that might initially seem unrelated. Imagine using a mind map to visually connect market trends to potential new product features. It allows you to see those relationships that might have otherwise gone unnoticed.
So you're saying visual thinking can actually help us come up with more innovative ideas?
Absolutely.
Right.
When you're not confined to linear verbal thought pathways, new possibilities can emerge more organically.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about understanding things better, it's about actually sparking new ideas.
Exactly. And from a practical standpoint, visual thinking can boost team efficiency. When everyone operates with a shared visual understanding of a project or a goal, communication becomes so much more focused and streamlined. There are fewer misunderstandings, fewer back and forths, and ultimately things get done faster.
I can see how that would be a huge advantage, especially in today's fast-paced work environment. But how does visual thinking play into collaboration, especially with so many teams working remotely these days?
Well, that's one of the areas where visual thinking really shines. Whether you're in the same room or collaborating across continents, visual thinking strategies can enhance participation and bring diverse perspectives to the forefront. It's a fantastic equalizer.
How so?
It offers different ways for individuals to contribute, regardless of their communication style. Someone who might be hesitant to speak up in a verbal brainstorming session might feel much more comfortable sharing an idea through a quick sketch or by adding to a visual board.
That makes sense. Not everyone is comfortable expressing themselves verbally.
Right. And when you encourage people to communicate visually, you naturally tap into a richer diversity of thought, which is absolutely essential for effective collaboration. Through the act of visualizing together, teams can uncover new layers of information, challenge assumptions that might have gone unnoticed, and build a deeper, shared understanding as they work towards a common goal.
That's really powerful. So let's get practical. How can our listeners actually start implementing visual thinking? What are some strategies they can put into practice?
Great question. Let's dive into 6 impactful visual thinking strategies that you can start exploring right away. First up is strategic planning.
Strategic planning. The cornerstone of any successful organization.
Exactly. And visual thinking can bring so much clarity to this process. Think about it. Strategic planning often involves getting everyone aligned around a central vision, understanding complex processes, and charting a course towards future objectives. This can get incredibly convoluted very quickly.
Oh yeah, it definitely can. It's easy to get lost in the details.
But using visuals, such as organizational charts to illustrate team structures, or visual roadmaps that map out key milestones and dependencies, can dramatically increase transparency and improve communication. It helps everyone understand the bigger picture and how their role fits into it.
I see how that would be helpful. Having that visual representation can make a big difference in understanding where you fit in and where you're going as a team.
Absolutely. Now, the second strategy focuses on task management.
Task management, keeping all the plates spinning.
Exactly. We all know how critical it is to keep projects on schedule and make sure everyone knows what they need to do.
Sometimes it feels like herding cats.
Sometimes it does. But visual thinking tools can be lifesavers here. When you're outlining project workflows and individual tasks, people generally find it much easier to follow a sequence of actions and understand their responsibilities when it's illustrated visually.
Oh, definitely. A picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say.
It really is. Whether it's a Gantt chart showing timelines and task dependencies, a Kanban board providing a visual overview of work in progress, or even a simple flowchart outlining a step-by-step process, these visual aids enhance understanding and help teams stay synchronized and accountable.
Okay, those are some really useful examples. And I bet visual thinking is a game changer for problem solving too, right?
It definitely is. Brainstorming and problem-solving sessions are perfect opportunities to integrate visual thinking. Think about incorporating creative visual expression, like sketching out potential solutions or using visual templates for collaborative idea generation. It encourages people to think outside the box and express themselves in ways that go beyond verbal communication.
So instead of just listing ideas, you might have a team collectively creating a mind map, exploring different facets of the problem and potential solutions visually.
Exactly. That visual structure can reveal connections and possibilities that might not have emerged in a traditional verbal discussion. Then there's the challenge of distributing information effectively, making sure it's clear and memorable.
Oh, I know that struggle. You can send out emails and memos all day long, but sometimes it feels like the information just goes in one ear and out the other.
It does, and that's where visual thinking can make a big difference. Visuals help information stick. By using visual strategies like organizational charts, process flow charts, and even visual business model canvases, organizations can disseminate information much more efficiently and help people retain key details.
Makes sense. A well-designed infographic can convey so much more than a page full of text. People are more likely to engage with it and remember it.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about where visual thinking can have the biggest impact. Innovation.
Innovation, the holy grail.
You got it. And one of the most powerful things about visual thinking is its ability to break free from the constraints of traditional linear thinking. It encourages you to explore new possibilities and develop novel ideas at a faster pace.
So it's about pushing boundaries and thinking outside the box.
Exactly. And there are all sorts of visual exercises you can use to achieve this. You can try quick sketching to capture abstract ideas, engage in the 30 circles exercise to rapidly generate new concepts, or use mind mapping to explore new territories visually. These techniques can unlock fresh perspectives and lead to breakthroughs you might not have discovered otherwise.
Those are great suggestions. Now, what about workshops? I imagine those can be valuable for integrating visual thinking.
They absolutely are. Workshops, both in-person and virtual, provide a fantastic environment for teams to engage with visual thinking in a dynamic, collaborative setting. They allow participants to interact through various visual exercises, building on each other's contributions, and collectively working towards solutions.
And with online whiteboards becoming increasingly popular, teams can seamlessly integrate multiple visual thinking strategies onto a single shared workspace, regardless of their location. It really opens up the possibilities for collaboration.
It does. Now let's take a step back and consider the core distinctions between visual thinking and what we usually refer to as verbal thinking.
Okay, let's break it down.
Verbal thinking primarily relies on processing information through language and words. It's our internal monologue, our spoken conversations, and our written communication. Visual thinking, as we've been discussing, centers on images, patterns, and spatial relationships. It's about seeing things in your mind's eye and making connections that might not be obvious through words alone.
So it's about how we process information and how we represent our thoughts.
Exactly. Verbal thinkers might organize their thoughts as lists or internal dialogues, while visual thinkers often create mental images, diagrams, or sketches. And when it comes to communication, verbal thinkers tend to gravitate towards language, while visual thinkers might try to convey their ideas through visuals.
But it's not a case of one being better than the other, right?
Right. Both are incredibly valuable cognitive tools, and often they work best in tandem. Some people might have a natural inclination towards one over the other, but being proficient in both visual and verbal thinking ultimately leads to greater flexibility and problem-solving ability.
That makes sense. It's about using the right tool for the job and being adaptable.
Exactly. But visual thinking does offer a unique and often more effective way to communicate complex ideas and foster deeper collaboration, especially in situations where words might fall short. Imagine trying to describe a complex piece of machinery versus just showing a diagram.
Yeah, that visual representation would make things so much clearer.
It would. Now, for those listening who are ready to start cultivating visual thinking within their teams, what are some concrete steps they can take?
Great question. There are several key actions leaders can take. First, invest in educating your team on the benefits and the various methods associated with visual thinking. Explain why it's important and how it can help them.
That's a great first step. Address any skepticism up front and highlight the proven effectiveness of visual thinking.
Exactly. Then, make your visual thinking sessions engaging and dynamic. Encourage the use of color, different types of visuals, and visual coding techniques to make the process more stimulating.
So instead of just black and white mind maps, you might use different shapes or icons to represent different types of information.
Precisely. And don't just let individual ideas exist in isolation. Help your team connect those visually represented thoughts, build relationships, and create a more cohesive understanding.
That's a crucial point. It's about seeing the bigger picture and how everything fits together.
Absolutely. And encourage cross-team collaboration in visual thinking exercises. Mixing different perspectives can spark truly innovative insights.
So break down those silos and get people working together from different departments.
Exactly. And finally, don't be afraid to leverage technology. Utilize online whiteboards that come equipped with helpful templates. They can make it easier for teams to get started and see tangible results.
That's a great point. There are so many tools available these days to make visual thinking more accessible and effective.
There are. So as we wrap up our deep dive into visual thinking, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that visual thinking is not just a nice to have, it's a fundamental tool for effective leadership and innovation.
It's about shifting your mindset and embracing the power of visuals to drive innovation, improve communication, and foster a deeper understanding within your organization.
And for our listeners, the CIOs, CEOs, directors, and tech leaders tuning in, by incorporating visual thinking into your workflows, you can empower your teams to tackle complex challenges more effectively, generate innovative solutions, and ultimately achieve your strategic goals faster and with greater impact.
It's about making innovation more visual, more tangible, and ultimately more successful.
Exactly. Ready to unlock the power of visual thinking within your organization? Book a demo for a free trial today at IdeaScale.com. Turn your work team into innovators.